Okay, I'm going to attempt to build a rotating compost bin out of this 55-gallon food grade drum that I purchased for $10 off of Craigslist. The idea is to place it on this upside down furniture dolly and it'll rotate. I've already drew out my idea for the hatch with a hinge here and latches here. And I'm doing this because I'm going to grow some herb gardens in these other 55-gallon drums that I've cut in half. And that'll be part of another video. But I find that I throw out so much food. I try to eat well, and I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and you always wind up throwing out that vegetable shreddings, or if you're juicing, you always have that leftover pulp, and just the ends of onions that you cut off, and the butts of celery, and all that stuff. The mango pits, the avocado pits, banana peels, all that stuff is going to go into my compost, and this way I'll have some nice organic soil for my herb garden. So I've already pre-drawn out the dimensions for my hatch with the drill holes, and I've seen some videos where they put regular hinges on these, and this plastic, once it's cut out, will tend to warp. So I'm going to use a cabinet hinge which will run the entire length of the bottom of the hatch. I'm also going to use a window sash latch on top, which will help pull the pieces together. The reason I'm going to pre-drill all my holes is because it's perfectly lined up now, and it'll just be easier to line things up later. And we'll see how that goes. I'm using a very thin, detailed blade with a thin kerf so that I don't have too much of a gap here, so I'll get a better seal. Okay, so now we have a nice door, or hatch, whatever you want to call it. I bought a piece of this 1.5 by 6 foot piece of aluminum, which I'm going to cut into 3 pieces, 2 short ones and 1 long one. The 2 short ones are going to go inside the door and act both as a support for the door and a place for the hinges, to bolt the hinges. And I'm also going to put the long one on the other side in the bottom of the barrel to act as a paddle, so that when you rotate the barrel, it kind of paddles the food around a little bit, the compost. And we'll see how that goes. I've got my hinge on the door, stainless steel hardware, and the idea is I cut this angle iron down, and I picked aluminum because it was actually cheaper than iron and it's much lighter. So the idea is here, let's see if I remember how this is going in here now. I'll put it in like this so it's going to act like a paddle. As you can see, I already have a paddle in here. Bolted it in on the other side. So this one's going to go right inside the door here, line up, and bolt in here. And I'm leaving a little bit overlapping so it helps support. And I'm going to bolt the hinge on. So I'll do that now. So the door is on, there, hinge is on, it looks great. And what I did was, I extended this piece of aluminum out this way farther, and I'm going to do the same thing up here for the latching hardware, and it's going to be long over here, so it's kind of staggered for mixing the compost. So again, I'm going to let this overhang here a little bit, so that this door doesn't push in, which it won't by the hinge, but it looks like it has warped a little bit as I suspected it would, and that's why my clasping hardware is going to pull it taut. At least that's the plan. All right, finishing putting on my hardware. This is what the latches look like. Now comes the moment of truth to see if it closes proper. It's not as pretty as I'd like it to be. There is some warpage in the door here, which causes a little bit of a gap almost. But I could always put a piece of rubber stripping over this, which I may do anyway just to keep rain out. But hey, it's not an exacting process. It's going to work for compost. Time to drill some vent holes on the side, and I'm just about done. And now for some air holes, and then we can finish the base, and we should be ready to put some compost material in here. I believe it's going to work for what it's supposed to do. Ta-da! Tomorrow I will go buy another dolly and bolt them to each other inverted so that I can roll this around the yard. And that's it. My compost bin. Okay, this should be the finishing touches on my rotating compost system. I bought another dolly, inverted it, clamped it to this other one, bought 4 cheap carriage bolts and an eye bolt. So I'm going to just drill 4 holes, bolt these 2 together, put an eye bolt on here to tie a little rope to it to pull it through the yard if I need to move it out of the sun or shade, and this should do it. If this drill doesn't get all hung up on this carpet on these dollies, we'll see how that works. That was painless. Make sure I'm not drilling into my barrel. Change this bit out. This bit may barely fit in here, but it's close, but it does. And 1 big hole for my eye bolt. Okie doke! Should bolt right up. Let's see how this works. This hole may be small because I didn't have a... I'm a little tight on bits. No, but it's going to go. I think I'll put the bolt on the bottom. I've already got a bucket of food products ready to go to start my compost. I've been collecting them for about 2 weeks in anticipation of doing this thing. So depending on the temperature, we can get that compost bin to heat up real good. I should have a good barrel of compost in 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. Alright, let me get a couple wrenches, tighten these up snug. See if this eye bolt's going to go in here. Oh, it barely fits. Alright, I'll snug these up and get my wrench. Okay, I'll snug these up. That should do it. Let's give her a test run. Okay, and this is how it should work. I may put a handle on this side so I can crank it. This rim is easy enough to grab. It rolls freely. It stays in place even though these wheels are articulating. It stays in place because of this indent here. And I think it's going to work great. Ready to put some stuff in there and start composting. That was an easy project and quite fun. And it'll be great when I have my garden going. Okay, my composting tumbler is complete. So I thought at the end of this video I would give a view of what the inside of it looks like. So I'll fire up the old GoPro here. And here's what it looks like from the inside. And I'm ready to add my first bunch of composting materials. The first thing I'm going to add is from my compost pile that I usually keep in the back. Oh, here come the ravens for the spring. This is just lawn clippings, leaves, stuff that I pile up in the back over the years. It's got some pretty good compost material in it now. It smells good. So I'm going to put this in and hopefully this will have a lot of the aerobic bacteria to get started. The good bacteria. I'm also going to add about a half a bucket of ash from my wood burning stove, which is basically 100% oak ash. Put some of that in there, hoping to regain some of the good minerals. And then over the past couple of weeks, I've been able to get almost a 5-gallon bucket full of kitchen waste that is no longer going to be wasted. I'm going to put that in. And there she goes. She's ready to go. I did add a couple more things to this. I found some strips from Venetian blinds, and you buy Venetian blinds, they give you an extra strip. So I cut it in half and I put it here to kind of block this little gap so rain doesn't get in and stuff doesn't come out. So let's give it a tumble. I can feel by the weight of this, just from it being probably a quarter full, it does get heavy, and I probably will put some handles on this end so I can just crank it. Let's see what that looks like. We are on our way to composting. Looks great. Want to have a look?